Hello and welcome to the Madison podcast. My name, if you don't already know, is Ben Lavender, New York's favorite British mortgage broker. Today we have realtor extraordinaire, Miss Zara Martin. How are you, Zara? Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Ben. I'm doing well despite the weather today, but it's a good opportunity, and thank you so much for bringing me on to your show.
Of course, don't make me regret it. Be on your best behavior for the thousands of people that will be watching us. So, as we talked about before, Zara, we want to give our audience some perspective, or at least your perspective, on many things when it comes to the real estate business. But I think where we really like to start is you, and how did you get into the business? Because real estate, I find that, and most people that I speak to, with the exception of like kids whose parents were realtors, don't grow up saying, I want to become a real estate agent. I want to become a mortgage broker when they're 9 years old. You know, when I was a kid, I probably wanted to be a fighter pilot or, something more interesting. So how did you get into the business? What made you want to get into it? I'll shut up now. Go ahead.
Okay. So, as you said, a lot of kids don't really grow up and say, I want to be a realtor when I grow up, So for me, my dad was a realtor, and he still is a realtor, but that wasn't what I wanted. The Great Henley.
DJ Henley.
A.K.A. DJ Henley, A.K.A. Anesthesia Tech Henley.
Hustler.
Literally, it's in my DNA. So basically, what happened was I wanted a job, my very first job back in 2015. I wanted to work like in a pet store or something, believe it or not, because they wouldn't let me get a dog. So I said, you know what, if I can't do that, let me work there. And my dad said, no daughter of mine is going to do that. So I got my first start working as an office manager / assistant in a real estate in his real estate firm. The experience was great. I learned a lot, but I didn't really like how they did real estate, so it didn't.
We won't mention names.
We won't mention names, but I didn't. How they did real estate, it didn't appeal to me as yet. However,
Before you continue, Zara, can you dig into the specifics as to like what that was, right? Because that's something that with previous guests they talked about as well, that they started at a particular brokerage and they didn't like the way they didn't do business. Was it like ethics? Was it just efficiency? What was it for you?
It was a little bit of both. It was basically where they showed certain people properties. It was how they did that, and it was the conversations they had during the initial meeting, and eventually I went back to college. I found my major after trying at least 6 different majors.
So what did you pick?
After biology, Spanish, film, and
wow.
a little bit of psychology, I ended up with communications because that was what I was very good at.
Diverse set of skills.
Absolutely. Cool. I was at the seminar and someone said, well, pick something that you're good at and think about different ways that you can hone it. So I went on the communications. My major was actually performance and communications with a concentration in rhetorical studies, because why not? And so I thought, I'm going to be the best lawyer out there. And my first job was in a law office, actually, because I wanted to help people. I wanted to be the medium between people, and I thought that law was the best way to do that. It wasn't. I got my first 3 gray hairs there. And eventually I went on to human resources because I still really wanted to help people. But then my friend Stacy, and she's my mentor right now.
Stacy,
yeah. She's just the most amazing realtor out there. There are plenty of amazing realtors, but
shout out to Stacy Ann Becker.
Shout out to Stacy Ann, you got us. So she was just like, Zara, I just got my real estate license, and I saw that she was crushing it. So I said, okay, girl, fine. I'm gonna get my real estate license too.
It was that easy?
It was that easy. I took the test once, 75-hour course and aced it.
Was there like a particular thing about the business that drove you to it or attracted you to it?
Yes. My dad always brought me on his open house and his showings. And my dad, we have my dad is literally 20 years older than me. So we have kind of an interesting age gap. And we're very competitive. Yeah. So he would take me on his...
Oh, you guys are competitive with each other?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So he would take me on his showings, and I would think to myself, I can do this better. So,
I can't wait for him to see this. Awesome.
Yeah, I have a lot. But it happens, and I thought to myself, I could do this better. So I got my real estate license, and I didn't tell him until I passed the exam.
Wow.
And he was just like, wait a minute, I'm a realtor, you're a realtor. We have 2 realtors in the house now. And then I said, and what? So we kind of got a little competitive because I really wanted to prove my dad that this isn't a fluke. This is something I really wanted. And it took a year and a half for him to acknowledge that. Well, I overheard him talking to one of his friends, and he was just like, yeah, she's a really good realtor, and she's actually better than me now.
Oh.
Yeah. I know. That meant everything to me because my dad and I were literally going pretty much head to head. And
but that's all love.
It is all
it's pure
love.
You're fortunate to have a nice, supportive father as opposed to someone who's like, my daughter stepping on my toes in my business, working, my network, friends, family.
No, trust me, it's all love with my dad and I. And now we actually have a couple of listings. We have a listing appointment this weekend coming up. So we do work well together. He understands. Yeah. Now he understands how I do real estate. And even when he has certain people, he'll say, here, talk to my daughter. And then I'll handle it because I love my dad. And he does things the way he does things. And I do things, in my way. And sometimes we're
all different.
We're all different. And it works. And that's the thing about real estate. A lot of people think it's oversaturated. But there are so many different people around. And there's a realtor for everyone.
Yeah, so there's a different personality for everyone. You're going to jive well with some people and other clients, regardless of how good quality of a person you are, integrity or lack thereof. Unfortunately, people with a lack of integrity in the business are in many cases, unfortunately, still successful because they attract a certain type of person.
Yes.
Right. So it's, obviously, I'm not saying that's a way to live, but moral of the story is that there's someone for everyone in real estate.
Exactly. Exactly. It all depends on what you're looking for and the quality of how you're trying to get to the closing table.
So, Zara, actually, how long have you been in the business for?
I got my real estate license back in 2019. And in
right before the pandemic.
Literally right before the pandemic. It was a good timing. And I operated what you would think part-time, but I actually did real estate full-time. And during that time, at the end of 2020, I won the Rookie of the Year award. So, exactly. So, basically, real estate, it's in my blood. It's something I love, and I'm really good at what I do.
You are, as we have experienced by working together. You are fantastic.
Appreciate it.
Another thing I wanted to ask you. So you started when in 2019? Towards the end?
Actually, I remember the exact day. It's October 10, 2019.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Okay, so when the pandemic hit and basically everyone was like, you can't call anyone, you can't show any houses, what was your reaction? Did you freak out that you can't do any business? Where was your head at the time?
It was a pandemic, and so I understood full well that 1, I had to protect my family, 2, I had to protect my clients, and even way before the lockdown happened in March, we were wearing gloves, we were wearing masks to protect everyone, and we were hand sanitizing everything. You guys saw it coming, so you just took precautions. Absolutely, because Stacy's sister was in China. She's studying to be a medical doctor. and they were experiencing the lockdowns before. So
Yeah.
I had a heads up. I had
And you didn't tell me. Actually, we didn't know each other.
we
at the
didn't know
time.
each other
So-
yet. Yeah. But I had a heads up back then. And so I operated with the knowledge that she passed on to us. And majority of my clients were ICU nurses. So they would need, their hours were crazy, and I would be out there showing at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, just to make sure that they got to see the properties and we're placing offers. And I was really just working around their schedule because it was that important to get them in the properties. I had one client, and she just, I don't know how she did it. She was an ICU nurse. She was doing her master's degree, and all of that right through the midst of the pandemic.
Crazy.
And we still got her to close on July 15, 2020.
Boom.
Boom.
Good for her. Good for her. I'm
Yes.
sure she's doing well now, and her property has probably appreciated 15% in value over the past almost 2 years. So
She
did very well.
Yes, she's very happy. Every time I talk to her, she'll always say, Zara, thank you so much for getting me this home. They put close to $100,000 in renovating it, and it looks nothing like what it was before. So they're not planning on selling it anytime soon, but they will be buying.
At least
later
they're
on.
enjoying it, because I find that a lot of people that do renovations on their home, sometimes obviously you need access to capital, right? But
Right.
sometimes people just delay it.
Yes.
And then, like, I even know people in my own family, it's like, yeah, we have to do this, we have to do that. 10 years go by and nothing. So at least they put the money in now and they can enjoy
Right.
what they've done. That's the way to do it.
So what I would tell people is that when you buy a home, it's a blank canvas. It's for you to put your personal touches. I know there are people out there, and sure, money, capital, and time are very, limited. So, but I really encourage people to put your personal touches on the property that you buy. It's for you to put, your version of what a home looks like on it. Don't live in the house and never do anything to the wall. Right now, my client, her house is the only house on the block that has a teal blue door.
Cute. I feel like that's in right now.
It's
Yeah,
definitely
or
in.
it's starting to come in, the
Yes, teal and red doors. Those are definitely in. I'm very, very, very passionate about those.
So that's like your favorite thing right now. Like I also
Yeah.
noticed with like for the past year or so, like an accent wall. Like we have this blue wall, the rest
Right.
is white. So it's like it's these. I feel like it's fashion. It just evolves. So I think I saw something the other day that fashion, whether it's like literal clothes or like home decor, interior design, whatever it is, resets the cycle every
Yes.
30 years.
Every 30 years.
Apparently, and
Oh,
it
I
just
did not know
it
that.
restarts. It's not exactly the same, but there are only so many things
That's
that you
true.
can do, right? Unless you invent brand new colors or brand new designs or something.
I agree. I agree.
It's the same type of thing. So another thing I did want to chat about, Zara, because you were working full time for a while.
Yes.
And you built up some cojones.
Yes.
And you made the move to go full time into real estate from kind of a safe, cushy job, right, with benefits, I imagine. I mean, we don't
Right.
have to go into details about the monetary aspect, but can you talk about, especially for realtors who are part time, and thinking about making the jump, how has it been for you so far? But before you even get into that, actually, like, how did you come up to making that decision, and what was it like finally that made you pull the trigger and go full time and leave your job?
Okay. So
No pressure.
no pressure. So basically what happened was that, well, I'll start with what made me, maybe I should start with how I coexisted with real estate while I was a full-time employee. So my job was a human resources information systems analyst. And
It's a mouthful.
that
Cool.
is a mouthful, but what
Human resources information analyst. Sorry,
information systems analyst.
I do that. Go ahead.
So basically, my job was I was the heart of HR. So I helped with onboarding, offboarding. I did all the numbers crunching and reports, right? And coexisting in real estate, I read the 4-Hour Work Week.
Tim Ferriss. Yep.
It's a very, very good book. And from that, I learned I can't be two places at once. And Stacy was there to help me, but I also needed to, you know, on days where she wasn't able to help me, I needed to put systems in place so that at least some parts of my job as a realtor was automated. So I invested in a virtual assistant, and I trained her myself.
Cool.
With
when you say virtual, you just mean someone that's remote, basically.
Right.
Because when most people hear virtual, that's why I bring it up, because they think it's like an AI of some sort. It's not. It's a human.
No, it's a human. And I trained her, and I also had Stacy's virtual assistant train her as well. And basically, while I was at work, she had the task to follow up. She had the task to handle some of my real estate administrative tasks, so that my life would be a little bit easier. And when I got home from work, I could just go straight to showing. That was how I coexisted. But after a while, your client base starts growing, and then you need to set aside more time for real estate and less time for the 9 to 5. And that's...
So it was slow, basically. It started like your pipeline and your client base built up where it was like logical that you had to go full time in order to service everyone,
right,
and not lose out on all that potential business.
Yes, and there's a specific quality that I like to give my clients. No one is just a number. Everyone is personalized, and my motto is real estate minus the hassle. And if I can't give that to my clients, then I haven't done my job as a realtor. And so that was really, it started to get a little frustrating when the level of service that I wanted to give them wasn't coming through the way I wanted it. So it wasn't too much of a hard decision to go full blown real estate. It was like mentally, it was just like, okay, it's all me right now, but that's fine. I know in 2020, I know that I'm not the only realtor who was out there taking every single CE course that was out there. I took so many CE courses. If only they could pass over for this year, I'd probably still be able to, have a good amount. But I learned so much. I was literally out there in the field. I was taking notes, and all of that knowledge, it basically made me feel prepared. 2020, 2021, that was going in, that was building. 2022, this is executing. This is going in there because I have all the knowledge I needed. And so now that I'm full-time, I feel like I can give my clients 110%. And so I'm still out here. I'm still reading books. I'm still gaining experiences. Actually, I have an Airbnb seminar to go to next week.
Cool.
Yeah. So, this year I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
And you're continuously sharpening your tools and learning more so you can give your clients basically a better experience, or a better experience with someone that knows many aspects of the business. Because that's a big thing, the Airbnb thing, which I've heard as well that is oversaturated. But, a lot of people make a really, really good argument is that if you don't Airbnb it, you could just rent it out long term.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My dad, he has a couple of properties, and I'm not sure if there are so many different people with different needs out there. There are doctors who travel and need, a place. Someone offered him an Airbnb opportunity on his property in Poughkeepsie, and, he's definitely contemplating it. So there's different genres of Airbnb that you can do. You're not limited at all.
Do you have a favorite?
I would have to say that there are some people who actually make themes in their Airbnb apartments, and I'm looking forward to an anime themed Airbnb.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes, yeah. That would be so legendary, and I'm looking forward to that, preferably in somewhere warm.
Do you have a favorite anime that you would like to see?
Yes, One Piece. If you know, you know. That's all I have to say.
I don't, but I trust you.
Yeah.
I trust you. Okay, so let's talk a little bit, Zara, because we've got a good amount of your background here for the masses. What are you doing this year? What's like your focus this year? I'm sure that knowing you, that you have a list of things that you're looking to accomplish, things that you're looking to do without revealing your secrets, of course. Can you give us any insight as to what you're working on?
Okay. So one word, value. Value, I started, my very first post this year was that I wanted to give back my clients value. To be a great realtor is not to just take somebody to the closing table. It's not to just take someone on a regular showing. I want, whenever I take my clients out, I want them to be so informed about real estate that they can probably teach it to someone else, you know? And if, for instance, with the bidding wars and the rise in interest rates, if, for instance, they're not able to purchase at this point in time, I want to also provide them with the information on how to be more financially literate and how to establish wealth in different ways as well. So I'm also licensed in the finance field, and I want to make more people aware of how to save money. Because if you just put your money in the bank, it's not going to grow.
It's the opposite. It will lose value.
Exactly. But if you put your money in a mutual fund for a set period of time, then you might be able to come closer to your down payment amount in a lot faster time than if you just save my paycheck here, my paycheck there.
Yep.
So I wanna do that because I feel bad for a lot of people who they want the house so bad. They're really great clients, but they don't have it all together. And as a realtor, it's my job to be the one-stop shop for everything that they need to get to the closing table.
Yeah, and that could potentially go into a whole other subject on lack of financial literacy for the average American.
Right.
And it's obviously not the fault of the average American because it's not something that we're taught in high school or in college, or even if you study finance in college, it's still, you're not going over like basic things or strategies. So it's you could make the argument, and I'm sure you've read posts or you've seen something, that it's a conspiracy to keep consumers consuming and basically turn them into money making machines for corporations, which is a whole other thing. But the lack of financial literacy, or bringing that to light and educating our consumers, I find even as well, like on the mortgage side, is because everything that we say to our clients when it's in mortgage language, basically, it's gibberish.
Yes.
Right? They don't understand it. And why should they? It's not like it's what they do. So what we try and focus on is just going over the essentials that they need to know.
Right.
Because not only does it equip them with knowledge and make them feel more comfortable in that regard, but it's also, it decreases the amount of stress involved in the transaction too. And we always say it's not like buying a home isn't like how it looks like on TV, right? It can be, it's not like, 1, 2, or 3, I'll take that one. It's much more complicated, especially in a competitive market, especially in New York, where it's an attorney state. The business is very, very sharky. Everyone's trying to do what they have to do to survive. So we want to take out as much of that stress as possible. So we try and do it on our side, and obviously you do it on yours.
Absolutely. And it takes a very patient realtor to get that across, because everyone has different learning patterns. And not everyone has the same level of, say, real estate jargon as the next person. So you need a good team to be able to explain this. And that's why I like working with you, because you always explain things to my clients. And most of my people that I work with are first-time home buyers. Yep. So I need a good mortgage broker, such as yourself, and I need a good attorney.
Yeah.
I need a good attorney to get my people to the closing table so that they're well represented, and they don't have any liabilities while signing those contracts. When you have a good team, they feel a lot safer going through the real estate journey than, say, for instance, you have someone who doesn't pick up, who gets very boisterous with you, and we need positive vibes, because this is not like walking in a car mart and driving out with a car. We're talking over $500,000 in transactional purchase here. So We need the best of the best, and that's pretty much who I choose to work with.
Yeah. And I think that's so key, Zara, because like you can do an amazing job as a realtor, whether you help a client find a house in one showing or 20, and it takes, over weeks or even months. You could do the best job in the world, but if they end up with an attorney that gives them a lackluster experience, unfortunately, it's, it could be a reflection, even though it's got nothing to do with you,
right?
But because they're in that transaction, they associate that feeling with you or with me. So having, I find often that having an attorney is key. And when it comes to saving money, doing it with the mortgage broker is key, right? You want a low rate, you want low fees or no fees, all that stuff. Totally get it, fine. But with an attorney, obviously you're not better off saving $300 with a cheaper attorney. No. If anything, you're better off paying a few extra to get someone good that really knows what they're doing.
Absolutely. It's either you save now and pay the price later, or pay the price later and save yourself some worries.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. And that doesn't go to say like every expensive attorney is amazing, right? Obviously, we have to go with people that are highly recommended, well-reviewed, stuff like that.
Yes.
So another thing I wanted to ask you, Zara, and this is more for consumers, because a lot of people are getting frustrated with the market. Home prices are continuing to rise. Inventory has dropped. I think there are only 750,000 homes, something like that, on the market right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I mentioned rates rising as well. So a lot of people are getting frustrated. What advice do you have for them, if any at all?
I think the same advice that we offered in 2020 and 2021. This is not the market where you lowball. This is not the market where this is not the market where this is not where the market where you rely on luck. We are realtors. We will negotiate to the best of our abilities, but numbers do matter. The best offer is still going to be the one that is well-rounded, get that down payment ready, be able to have your closing costs. They want healthy buyers because this market has been very uncertain. There are very few properties on the market. So this is not one of those markets where you have 2 weeks to wait. Actually, homes are coming off the market in less than 7 days.
That's crazy.
It is precisely crazy. So you don't have a day to think about it anymore. You have literally hours.
Yeah, and to kind of dig on that, because 7 days is a crazy short amount of time. But what most people listening to that don't realize that the offer is actually accepted on that first day, right? So it's like basically showing on Sunday, homeowner decides by Monday or Tuesday by 12 p.m. there's some type of deadline right after the weekend. And everyone's seen the house. And then offers accepted, contracts are out. And then so it's really like it's really decided within a day. You have one shot to see the house. You don't have if you're not going, you're going to miss it. So
you're going to miss it.
Yeah, it's not really 7, it's 1 day.
You have to be ready. Before you go out, have your inspector ready, have your attorney ready, have your bank ready, so that when the contracts are out, make the time so you could just go, because it's gonna feel like a sprint. And I've had people say, wow, Zara, this is happening so fast, but this is the market that we're in. You don't have all the time in the world anymore. You have to go with the pace of it, and that's just how it is. I tell people, what's for you won't miss you, but you also have to put the effort in there.
Extremely well said.
Thank you.
It's a funny thing, right? Because I think what you just said about having everything prepped up front is so key.
Yeah.
Not just in terms of yes, you should absolutely be pre-approved before you see a house, but especially if it's one that you're seriously considering. But the expectations as far as what to offer, what the market's. So I was talking to someone last night, and they were like, you know, we're trying to buy this. We were going to buy this house cash. Friend of mine, not using a mortgage. You know, when we offered 1.1, and it's listed for 1.3, and they were like, you know, we have an advantage because it's cash, and I was like, sorry to break it to you, but 30% of buyers right now are cash.
Yes.
You know, it will give you a leg up, right, over someone with a mortgage potentially, but it doesn't give you the ability to lowball by 15, 20%.
Exactly.
So it's like people need to have realistic expectations, which, you know, it's unfortunate that it's competitive, but that is the reality of our market. Will it change? Who knows? We're in a very, very interesting time right now with, you know, again, rates rising, low supply, all that fun stuff.
Yes.
And the unfortunate war in Ukraine and Russia, which is, you know, not to get into that, but it will have, and it is having some supply ramifications on us over here.
Yes.
And globally. So that's not fun. So Zara, what piece of just general advice would you say, forget offers, but when it comes to first-time home buyers, because you said that is the majority of your client base, right? So let's say not even someone like going to look and buy a house right now, but someone that is thinking about buying a house and they want to know more. What should they do? Should they call you? Should they do whatever you say, do some push-ups and burpees? What advice do you have for that individual?
I think it's very important to have a consultation so that you know what you're getting into. And a lot of people, I know some of my buyers have shopped around and have interviewed many different realtors before they settled on one person. I think that's also good too. It's good to work with people who you vibe with. If you don't have a certain chemistry, it's going to be a bumpy ride. You want people who understand you, understand how you communicate, and take the time out to meet you at the level that you're at, you know? A lot of people, I talk to them and they say, oh, wow, my realtor has been pressuring me. But you need to have a little bit of a one-on-one with them to understand where you are now. How soon are you looking to buy? Because if you tell me tomorrow, I can find you at least 4 houses to show you real quick. So you need to basically pace yourself, know what pace you need to go at, and I guess self-evaluate, you know?
Yes, which is something that is difficult for people to do. It's hard to really look at yourself in the mirror that way. So that's good advice. Okay, and we'll wrap this up with what is next for you over just the course of your career? Where do you see yourself going? Any fun, crazy plans that you'd like to share, or any special projects?
Well, currently I am working on eventually being an investor myself. That is what I would love to do. Thank you. And for now, I'm getting all the experience I need in both real estate and finance so that I can be an expert when it comes to what goes on in renovating a house, what goes on in the back ends of handling, you know, the construction materials and that kind of things. So that's my end state, but I also want to have a couple more businesses. I am pretty much in the millennial bracket,
Yes.
One would say. So who knows? But right now, I just want to be an expert in whatever endeavor I take up.
I like it. Okay, very cool. That is an exciting future.
It is
be
bright.
a multi-gajillionaire. I'm going to stay close to you. Okay. And Zara, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Zara the Realtor, making real estate hassle-free for you. My number is 917-951-4311. And I think once you find Zara the Realtor on Google, all my information is definitely there. I'm not going to give you a long email address, but Zara the Realtor, from there, everything else will open up.
Love it. Hit her up.
Boom.
Thank you, everyone. Zara, again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me,
Appreciate it,
Ben.
of course. And peace out. We'll see you next time.
Bye.